and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a fun one for you. I'm gonna go on a super long walk across London. Think Hyde Park, Buckingham Palace, all the way down through the River Thames. So if you're looking for some inspiration on a really lovely long walk to take in London, or you simply want to see some of London's most fabulous landmarks and iconic spots, this is the video for you. So without further ado, off we go. We started our walk by the Lancaster Gate entrance of Hyde Park, which is home to one of my absolute favorite parts of the park, which is the Italian Gardens. Now, the Italian Gardens have a wonderful history. They were actually created in the 1860s, and they are kind of an elaborate mix of like 4 different areas. They have these beautiful fountains, different stone statues, and urns. But what's really special about the Italian Gardens is they were believed to have been a gift from Prince Albert to his beloved Queen Victoria. How romantic is that? Any man that wants to gift me gardens like the Italian Gardens in Hyde Park, give me a call. You're definitely my kind of guy. Another fun fact, visitors to the Italian Gardens should also look out for Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's initials on one of the walls at the pump house at the north of the gardens. I myself have never seen this, but next time I go, I'm gonna be on the hunt for that. After spending some time in the Italian Gardens, we decided to venture further into Hyde Park. And Hyde Park is literally in the center of London, so it's hard to miss. And viewers who are regulars on this channel know that I love Regent's Park. That is my absolute favorite park in London. But I also do think if you are visiting London or you haven't been to Hyde Park in a long time, Hyde Park is still a wonderful park to go visit. And especially during more recent times where we have to be more socially distant from people, Hyde Park is massive. It covers an area of 350 acres, and there are so many unique and distinct parts of the park. What I enjoy specifically about Hyde Park, in addition to the Italian Gardens, is just finding myself on a super quiet kind of pathway that nobody else is on, where I'm surrounded by trees, surrounded by grass, and it's amazing that in the center of London that you can just feel like you're miles and miles away from the city and all the noise and the horns and all kind of what you would expect from everyday life. So definitely go check it out. Now, we were headed towards the corner of Hyde Park that is near Wellington Arch, but before we actually ventured, out of the park to Wellington Arch, we decided that we were in need of some refreshments, and there is a really great hidden gem like right on the corner of Hyde Park called the Lodge Cafe. And they, no joke, at our time of visiting, were doing a deal, which is you buy a mulled wine and you get a free minced pie with that. So I feel like it would have been rude to turn that down. So we opted for that and then continued on our walk. And what we continued on to was the Wellington Arch that I mentioned. Something I actually took for granted with the Wellington Arch is that it actually used to be the original entrance to Buckingham Palace, which I've walked by this so many times and didn't know this until I did a bit of research. And the arch itself symbolizes Wellington's defeat of Napoleon. And what's really interesting is in better times, you actually can go inside the Wellington Arch. Now, of course, due to our current climate with COVID-19, this is not open, but it's something I absolutely want to do when times improve, because I've been in London over 6 years now and never visited this landmark. So bookmark that if you're on a visit to London in better times. After spending some time looking at the Wellington Arch, we continued our walk towards Buckingham Palace. And it's actually interesting to think about that fun fact that if the Wellington Arch used to be the original entrance to Buckingham Palace, now I want to do some more research on how did it move, you know, or did it move, or was there just kind of a protected, barricaded area that would be the entrance to the palace? Really interesting stuff. Buckingham Palace has been the official residence of London's sovereigns since 1837, and in addition to being a residence of the Queen today, it's also her administrative headquarters. And Buckingham Palace actually has 775 rooms. This includes 19 staterooms, 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, and 78 bathrooms. For the record, I'd like to put in my request for one of those guest bedrooms. I mean, could you imagine? That would be fabulous. But as a fun fact, if you are coming to visit London, they actually do open up the staterooms and some parts of the palace to I guess tourists and visitors in the summer. Not probably one of those guest bedrooms, unfortunately, but I have personally toured the staterooms, and if you're lucky enough, you also can get a pass that includes touring the gardens. And every year I have missed out getting the garden tour, but that is something that is absolutely on my bucket list. But I would say even if you can only get kind of the staterooms, it is absolutely worth it when coming to London. In addition to admiring Buckingham Palace from the outside, we also just took a minute to pause and notice the Royal Mall, which is, if you were to see any of kind of the weddings or the Queen's Jubilee, it is that kind of long stretch of road where all of the parades kind of lead coming back to the palace, and it is absolutely a sight to be seen with no traffic at all on it. After, we continued on into St. James's Park, and a fun fact that I didn't realize is that St. James's Park actually includes the mall and the Horse Guards Parade. So even though those kind of areas, one of which is like a long piece of roadway and another is an amazing area of kind of buildings with a little bit of sand, those are all actually technically included in the real estate of St. James's Park. Very cool, I did not know that either. And something else that's really special about St. James's Park when you go to visit, yes, there are tons and tons of beautiful flowers. It's really a scenic park with this beautiful kind of body of water in the middle, but it's also known as a place that's great to see kind of bird life. And for example, pelicans have actually lived in St. James's Park for nearly 400 years, and what I didn't know is they were originally presented as a gift from the Russian ambassador to King Charles II. Now, St. James's Park is a lot smaller than Hyde Park in comparison. It's about 57 acres. So while you're in this park, I would enjoy you to check out the bird life. There's so many different species of birds, and really interesting is they actually also have like these parrot-like birds as well. One thing I will caution you is that people do feed the birds, and I think the squirrels and the birds are a bit aggressive and spoiled as a result. My friend was trying to just take some pictures of the birds, and a squirrel thought that that she had food and was like almost trying to jump on her. But we really enjoyed seeing that. We were not harmed by any squirrels in the making, and we also enjoyed seeing people kind of with the kind of parrots, although I actually don't think you're supposed to feed the birds, but there are some people that we saw on our visit that were. Then after St. James's Park, we continued on to the Horse Guards Parade. So what I didn't realize about the Horse Guards Parade until I was doing research to film this video is that it is actually technically part of St. James's Park, and specifically it is the ceremonial parade ground in St. James's Park. It is the scene of the Trooping of the Colour on the Queen's official birthday in June. So you might be listening to this wondering, what the heck is the Trooping of the Colour? Well, this is a very kind of special British tradition. The Trooping of the Colour has actually marked the official birthday of the British sovereign, so that is currently the Queen, for over 260 years. And what the Trooping of the Colour is it's a parade of over 1,400 soldiers, 200 horses, 400 musicians, all of which come together each June in a wonderful display of military precision, horsemanship, and fanfare to mark the Queen's official birthday. Talk about a special birthday celebration. And if you remember, we showed you a video scene of the mall earlier in this video. That is one of the streets that this procession goes down. The streets tend to be lined with crowds. I don't know how this is going to change in our kind of current COVID climate, but you would typically see people kind of cheering, waving the British flag, and really kind of celebrating the Queen on her birthday. And of course, members of the royal family are also part of that parade, both on horseback and in carriages. And you would also see a special RAF flyover, which RAF stands for Royal Air Force. And then members of the royal family kind of finish on the famous Buckingham Palace balcony. So it is absolutely something to see, and because this video is coming up way before June, you can mark your calendars for the Queen's birthday and check it out. But who knows what's gonna happen this year with COVID, but I still hope they do something maybe even in a smaller scale. I know, seriously. Quite lucky on our visit to catch the changing of the guards at the Royal Horse Guards parade, and then once that was finished, we also went and checked out kind of the horses that stand guard there, and we were also a bit amused by a sign that reads, "Beware, horses may kick or bite, thank you." So consider that a warning for any locals or tourists alike that, well, it might be tempting to pet or kind of be mischievous with real life horses, you might pay the price by doing so, so it is not encouraged. Afterwards, we made our way down towards Westminster Station, which is also adjacent to Parliament Square, which is around it. You will see the Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, and lots of other important government buildings. Parliament Square actually dates back to 1868. They wanted to open up the space around the Palace of Westminster to improve traffic flow, but if you were to visit this area today, especially in better times, you might actually see a lot of protesters around Parliament Square that are kind of protesting different issues of importance. You would also notice that Big Ben does not look like what we expect Big Ben to look like at the moment. Unfortunately, Big Ben is under construction and it is absolutely covered in scaffolding. Now, Big Ben was only supposed to be under construction through the end of 2020, but due to COVID-19, the project has been delayed by 1 year. So now they're estimating that by the end of 2021, we will see that the kind of restoration and renovation project around Big Ben will be completed. This project has a hefty price tag around it of £79 million. However, it is worth noting that they made a special exception around December 31st, 2020, so New Year's Eve, where Big Ben did famously chime to welcome in the new year. And Big Ben officially chimed at 12 p.m., 4 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and then finally at midnight. So that was a really nice way, I think, to lift people's spirits despite the renovation delays with Big Ben. And I have to say, I really do miss seeing it when I walk around that area. Big Ben is just such an iconic sight to see, and I'll be really excited when the renovation projects are complete. Next up, we started to walk across the Westminster Bridge and enjoyed a nice little view of the London Eye. Now, I didn't realize this, but the London Eye is also technically called the Millennium Wheel, but I have to say, I've never heard anyone in London actually refer to it as such. It's located on Southbank, which is a really fun area to take a stroll along the Thames. It's filled with lots of kind of restaurants, food stalls, kind of other shops and kiosks, and it really makes for a kind of a great walk if you're coming to London. Now, some fun facts about the London Eye is it's actually Europe's tallest observation wheel, which quite a cool fun fact, and it's actually also the most popular paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom with over 3 million visitors annually. Fun fact, in my 6 years in London, I have still never been on the London Eye, but I would love to at some point. Interestingly, the London Eye is actually not the tallest viewpoint in London. It was up until a building called the Shard was constructed, and now the observation deck on the 72nd floor of the Shard is actually London's tallest viewpoint, which is also another great place to check out, and you'll see a little cheeky view of it later in this video. On our visit to Southbank, we were getting pretty chilly by this point. It was a cold day that we decided to do this very ambitiously long walk, and no sooner did we arrive on Southbank did our kind of hopes get answered with the form of a place called Beltane and Pop. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering the name, but it is a kind of drinks trolley, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and we were super excited to get a little hot toddy to continue on with our walk. Not that we hadn't already had a mulled wine coming out of Hyde Park, but as you do. So I treated myself to a hot chocolate with Baileys, and my friend treated herself to a kind of hot whiskey cocktail, and we were very happy with the end result. Afterwards, we continued our way along Southbank, finished up our drinks, which were amazing, and then decided that we needed pizza because every long walk is just better with pizza. So we indulged in some amazing kind of spicy pepperoni pizza from a food truck there and continued on with our walk. Now, what's great as you get further along Southbank is you really start to see more of the City of London unfold around you, and that's specifically on the other side of the Thames, but from the vantage point of Southbank, it's really wonderful to take in just kind of the city skyline coming to life, most notably like St. Paul's Cathedral, the Millennium Bridge, and other sites there. Now, before we knew it, we had made our way over to the Borough Market area. And for those of you not familiar with Borough Market, it is a wonderful food market. It's actually still been staying open despite COVID-19 because it essentially is a grocery shop. Borough Market is actually no ordinary market. It actually dates back 1,000 years, so 1,000 years. And it's located in an area of London called Southwark, which looks like it's pronounced Southwark, but it is actually pronounced Southwark. And I highly recommend that you go and check it out if you are ever in London. There's a wonderful Monmouth coffee there where you can get a cup of coffee. There's all these amazing fresh fruit juices, even a dedicated area where you can get craft beers and ciders, as well as many, many, many delicious food stalls, as well as stalls where you can properly go grocery shopping. But for the sake of our visit, we were not there to kind of eat and drink. We were on a long kind of fitness walk, and we did not actually go into the market itself, but instead kind of walked around the market. And what I really love about this area is it really feels like you're stepping back into historic London. You know, you go through kind of these kind of a dark tunnel, or there's an area that shows some of the historic ruins from the area. So it's really amazing. And there's even one point where you reach where you're at Southwark Cathedral, and I stopped to actually take a picture of this because you see kind of the old historic cathedral on one side, and then you see the shard kind of popping up behind it. And it's really a great testament to kind of the history, but also kind of the modernism of London, where it's one of the reasons why I really love living in London, because you can really appreciate London's rich history and amazing historic architecture, while also appreciating how far the city has come and how modernized it's become, especially with some of these epically kind of stunning kind of design style buildings in the city of London. Now, one might think this is already a long enough walk, and they would be right. I think if we were not in a kind of restricted situation where kind of we couldn't, you know, where you can't go sit inside a restaurant, we probably would have sat down inside a restaurant for like a drink or a meal, you know, instead of eating pizza on the go. But we decided to keep walking. We were really just enjoying the fresh air, and we decided to stroll continuing along the Thames, and we decided to stop over in Hayes Gallery, which is another architecturally stunning area in London. It's actually home to lots of different restaurants, kind of some bars, and what's really great is we were there, you know, around the Christmas kind of festive period, so we got to go inside and see the beautiful Christmas tree in the center, which was really special. All right, so I was just catching up on some research, and I've realized I'm saying it wrong. It's Hayes Galleria, not Hayes Gallery, my apologies. But a couple fun facts on Hayes Galleria. So it actually dates all the way back to 1651. It is named for the original owner, who was a merchant named Alexander Hay. He actually acquired the property, which was originally a brew house, so I guess there's a reason why there are some great pubs around there. And essentially it was converted to a wharf and renamed Hayes Wharf in 1856. And then there is kind of a lot of history that goes along with that, which I would encourage you to kind of read up on, including the fact that it was really badly bombed during the Second World War. In the 1980s, Hayes Galleria was actually kind of redeveloped, and the vision was to reimagine it as what we see it today, which is kind of a retail and restaurant space. But it actually took until 1987 for it to actually be formally launched as Hayes Galleria. But today I would really encourage that you make a visit here, and if you are kind of tired from all your walking, it definitely makes for a great spot. Snag one of those kind of seats outside along the Thames from one of the kind of pubs or cafes, and you will thank me. very close to Hayes Galleria, you will start to see sights of the world famous Tower Bridge. It's hard to see pictures of London without seeing pictures of this iconic bridge. Many actually confuse Tower Bridge with London Bridge, but London Bridge is actually a far less kind of architecturally stunning bridge to Tower Bridge. Now, a little bit on the history of Tower Bridge itself. Tower Bridge was actually built between 1886 and 1894. And it actually today is still a functioning, I guess, what is it, bridge that kind of lifts up and down to let the boats kind of go through. And I didn't realize this, but Tower Bridge actually lifts around 800 times per year. That's a great fun fact for your next cocktail party. And although it's currently closed due to COVID-19, you actually can go and visit Tower Bridge, which actually allows you to go into the bridge, and I believe actually even you get to actually go even across kind of that upper level. So I've actually never done this as well, so I'm adding this to my London bucket list for sure. But you can't come to London and not see Tower Bridge, even if you're snapping pictures from afar. It's stunning. I highly recommend walking across it or being in a car and driving across it. It's just one of those iconic landmarks that really makes you think of London. Now, after we enjoyed kind of some sights of Tower Bridge, we actually just kind of pulled around onto the the area. There's a plaza kind of which also doubles as a scenic kind of viewpoint for the bridge. And this also looks on to City Hall, which is a really beautifully kind of architecturally significant building. I've actually had the great fortune of going inside of this building for a social media conference of all things. And we actually got to basically go outside on the balcony adjacent to where the conference was and snap pictures of Tower Bridge, and that was a really cool moment. But because we were there during the Christmas period or leading into the kind of festive period, they still had some beautiful light displays up, so we enjoyed that all before deciding that it was time to head home because we were frozen and exhausted. So with that said, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. This is gonna be a long video, but it was a super long walk, and if you have lots of energy when you come to London, especially if, you know, by the time more travelers can come to London, I'm confident things will have improved. So especially when you can make some pit stops for like a coffee or a tea, a little kind of snack, a meal, it really makes for a great kind of entire day of just exploring some of the most iconic sites in London, and hopefully I can recreate this with some restaurant and bar and coffee recommendations in better times. So if you like this video, please hit this like button. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more travel and lifestyle content like this, and also please leave a comment below. Do you have any great travel tips for London? Is there something that you would like for me to cover in the future, or a question I can answer? This channel is all about helping travelers, so please leave that below, and I will see you guys soon.